Back from the 4-yard line. Sire takes the snap and throws the ball in traffic, and it's intercepted. Picked off again, and it's going to be James Bates again. He'll score a touchdown. Oh, my! James Bates!
Well, certainly that was one game last year that our defense just took over the game. We had 4 defensive scores the entire year, and 3 of them were against Georgia.
In its first Gainesville meeting in over 60 years, Florida handed Georgia a 38-point soaking, intercepting All-American quarterback Eric Sire 4 times in the worst loss in the series' 80-year history. But it's 1995 in Athens, and for Georgia, turnabout is fair play. The Bulldogs have the Gators in their doghouse.
We know that they're going to come out and fight as hard as they can and give everything they got. And that's the type of game you want to be in most, where you know a team's going to fight no matter how far down they are or how far up they are.
In a role they relish, the Bulldogs are underdogs against the 3rd-ranked Gators. It's Florida, Georgia from between the hedges, next on Sports Channel. From Sanford Stadium on the campus of the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia, Sports Channel presents University of Florida football. Today, the Fighting Gators of the University of Florida take on the University of Georgia Bulldogs. Between the hedges, Athens, Georgia. The University of Florida and the University of Georgia football teams have not played on this site since 1932, but they're going to get it on today in Athens, Georgia. And hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Gator Football on Sports Channel. I'm David Steele, along with Jim Yarbrough. We're glad to have you with us. And, Jim, for an old Gator like you, it must be awfully exciting to watch these 2 teams out here on this field playing in Athens, Georgia.
Well, David, I was a Gator fan before I had a chance to wear the orange and blue, and I've been a Gator fan long since my career was over. And I never dreamed I'd have a chance to come to Sanford Stadium and get barked at between the hedges. So it's been an exciting day for me. Matter of fact, I came out here early today. I got a souvenir to take home to my sons.
I saw that. Don't let the horticulture people get a look at that. You might be in trouble. When you talk about this series, though, you know, these 2 teams have been playing for many, many years. Florida has not played any one rival more times than they have the Georgia Bulldogs. This will be the 74th meeting between the 2 teams.
Well, as you can see, the misery index in 1980s was very high for the Florida Gators, but in the 1990s, since Coach Spurrier returned to his alma mater, they've reeled off 5 straight wins. And I think you and I can safely say we're 90s kind of guys.
We are 90s kind of guys, no doubt about that. When you talk about the misery index, though, Ray Goff, his misery index has to be high because of all the injuries the Bulldogs have sustained, especially in the offense in the backfield.
It's been unbelievable what the Dogs have had to contend with this year, and now they're at their number 3 quarterback. Heinz Ward, who was an outstanding high school quarterback in the state of Georgia, was really recruited to come here as a wide receiver or as a running back, but he's been forced to come off the bench and play quarterback. He's only had one other start this year, and that was against Alabama, and he's hoping that he'll have much better results today.
Georgia has had numerous injuries on the offensive side of the football. They've stayed healthy defensively, though, Jim, and they're one of the top defensive teams still in the SEC.
Well, they're number 1 against scoring, and they're number 3 in total defense, and their leader, Whit Marshall, this young man leads the Southeastern Conference in total tackles. He's a senior. He's played in every game he's ever dressed out for the Georgia Bulldogs, and he's a leader hoping to put the brakes on the fun and gun today for the Dogs.
Marshall and company will try to slow down this high-powered Spurrier offense, which averages better than 42 points a game. Large reason for that success, Jim, has been the play of the offensive line all year long.
Well, the last group of guys the coaches talk to before they go out on the field, there's the guys in the pits. And Reggie Green, a 4th-year senior, a 4th-year starter, was asked to move to offensive guard and has truly been outstanding. He, along with Jason Odom, are anchors on that left side of the fun and gun offense.
Reggie Green came to the Gator program with that great recruiting class of 1992. Another member of that recruiting class was from the state of Georgia. Linebacker Dexter Daniels has had a brilliant career at the University of Florida.
Well, so many Gator fans were excited when Dexter Daniels signed with the Gators because he was one of the most highly rated linebackers in high school football in the nation. And he's had some injury problems during his 4 years at the University of Florida, but he too is a 4-year senior. He's not nursing any injuries right now, and hopefully this young guy will stay healthy for the balance of the season.
Well, you know, this game means a lot to Dexter Daniels and for 4 other Florida Gators who are from the state of Georgia. Likewise, the University of Georgia football team has 8 players from the Sunshine State. When we come back, the opening kick, Florida, Georgia from Athens, Georgia, after this on Sports Channel.
Tonight's game has been brought to you by First Union National Bank. When it comes to service, everything matters. Dairy Farmers Incorporated, producers of fresh Florida milk. Great Southern Wood, makers of Osmos pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't say Osmos on the yellow tag, believe me, you don't want it. Dodge, the more things change, the more things look like the new Dodge. See your friendly Dodge dealer today. And Bryan Foods, the flavor of the South.
From Sanford Stadium in Athens, we're almost ready for the opening kick. The Gators win the toss of the coin, and Steve Spurrier wants the football. That's no surprise. When did Steve Spurrier not want to get the football in the hands of his offense, Jim Yarbrough?
Yeah, the fun and gun is obviously leading the Southeastern Conference in total offense, and Coach Spurrier recognized as an offensive genius. Ray Goff himself, an offensive guy as a quarterback here, an outstanding quarterback, SEC Player of the Year when he was leading the Georgia attack as a player, and he's been struggling a bit as the head coach, but he can put a lot of those miseries behind him if he can upset the Florida Gators today.
Cannon Parkman set to kick off, and the ball blew off the tee. It is really whipping around Sanford Stadium. The wind gusting up around 20 to 25 miles per hour at times, and that could be a factor in this football game.
Matter of fact,
Anthony had the big return last week against Auburn.
David, talking about the weather, the Florida Gator airplane was delayed last night flying into Atlanta. The weather was so bad. It was stormy and rainy, but today it's beautiful, but there certainly are heavy swirling winds on the field, as you mentioned.
Parkman kicking into that wind, and the ball comes down at about the 12-yard line. Anthony brings it out to the 27-yard line, where Florida's offense, averaging better than 42 points per game, takes over, led by junior Danny Wuerffel from Fort Walton Beach, one of the top-ranked quarterbacks in college football. Eli Williams gets the nod at the tailback position, and that veteran offensive line anchored on the left side by Green and Odom. Just an outstanding season for that bunch. Look at those numbers for Danny Wuerffel. 17 touchdowns and just 7 interceptions. He has thrown 57 touchdown passes in his career. Eli Williams, and Georgia very stubborn against the run. Stops Williams on the play. Great stop along that front line by Georgia. Benton and Ferguson, Smith and Daniels along the front line. The linebackers solid, as is the secondary. Joe Kynes, the defensive coordinator, well known by Gator fans. Back in the Charlie Pell era, Joe came to Florida from Clemson with Charlie Pell, one of the top defensive coaches in college football.
Yeah, what a great fellow Joe Kynes is. 6 years at the University of Florida. Most recently he was at Arkansas.
And the Gators drop the football. Eli Williams may have heard footsteps at the 35-yard line.
Well, this will be a big situation for the Georgia Bulldogs if they can stop the Gators on their first series of the afternoon, playing at home, having all these fans wanting to get behind them. If they can stop Florida early, that'll be a big surge in terms of their momentum potential.
You're looking at Randall Godfrey on the Georgia sideline, all conference last year, and out of the lineup with a sore hamstring. He is not expected to play today at his linebacker spot. Georgia crowd making noise Wuerffel on third down under pressure, but he delivers a strike into the belly of Ike Hilliard. First down, Florida.
Georgia doing a nice job of disguising their coverages and their defense right now. Wuerffel checking off at the line of scrimmage. There's pressure on Mo Collins, getting pushed back a bit into Danny's face. But was that Riedel Anthony or Ike Hilliard? That was Hilliard on the reception.
I think it was Hilliard. Hilliard really has come on in his sophomore season from Patterson, Louisiana. That was his 32nd catch of the year. Williams slipped one tackler, but the Dogs are getting around that football. Linebacker Greg Bright, linebacker Brandon Tolbert there to make the stop. A gain of a couple of yards for Eli Williams.
The Gators so effective all year on third down conversions. They lead the Southeastern Conference, converting over 56% of their third down opportunities, and that was a big conversion when they got the ball down to Ike Hilliard.
Georgia has been very good not allowing third down conversions. They rank among the league leaders in that department. Wuerffel changing the play call on 2nd down and 7. He slips and falls. Looked like he got his foot tangled up with the center after he moved away.
The Dogs with only 3 down linemen on that snap from scrimmage. They're looking for the Gators obviously to feature the passing game. But there was no pressure on Wuerffel. He just tripped on one of the linemen who was setting up the pass block.
Another big third down conversion from their own 41-yard line. Georgia only a 3-man rush, but all the receivers are covered. Williams made the catch, but it looks like he's about a yard short of a first down at Georgia's 48-yard line. And an early decision for Steve Spurrier. We all know his disdain for the punt, Jim.
Well, and he's acting with disdain right now as he's... Nope, here they come. He thought about it. Here they come. They're going to go for the coffin corner, and that's the play. The Dogs rising up with their umbrella defense right there. 8 guys in coverage, 3 down linemen rushing. Wuerffel had all kinds of time, but really, that was an excellent job in the secondary by the Georgia Bulldogs.
Robbie Stevenson will punt. Chris McCraney back to return. He is among the league leaders. Stevenson for the Gators has only punted 15 times all year. And a fair catch by McCraney at the 9-yard line. But I tell you, Robbie Stevenson does not get to work very often in this Spurrier offense, but he did a good job that time.
Excellent, as he gets Georgia just inside their own 10-yard line. He forced the fair catch to be made and got the ball down just inside the 10.
Early from Sanford Stadium in Athens, the Bulldogs take the football. There's no score. We've talked about Georgia's defense. There's the man that has masterminded this year's Bulldog defensive scheme, Joe Kynes, who came to Georgia from the University of Arkansas and was a strong contender for the head coaching job there when Danny Ford was brought on to coach the Razorbacks. And he's done a great job with this Georgia defense, which, as Jim has said, has ranked among the top defensive teams all year long, and certainly has impressed the head coach of the Gators, Steve Spurrier.
Georgia is playing extremely well defensively. Even though they've had some injuries on the team, they've had very few to their defensive team. And I think they're third in the conference, right up near the top in about all the categories. Joe Kynes and the defensive coaches have done an excellent job of getting those players playing extremely hard and very smart. So we've got to go up there and play well if we expect to be successful.
On top of that, one of the finest gentlemen you'll ever meet in college football, Joe Kynes. Dogs first play from scrimmage, and the handoff is to Williams. Or rather, that is Selma Calloway, the sophomore running back out of Colquitt, Georgia, who is the starting scat back for the Bulldogs. A little bit of a surprise there. You look at Georgia's offense, And Hines Ward has played 3 different positions for the Bulldogs offensively this year. Along the front line, a solid group anchored by senior center David Weeks out of Atlanta.
Fumble.
That ball popped out. Callaway on the carry, and the Gators came up and hit him. Let's see if it is a fumble.
Yeah, he was hit before his knee got on the ground, David. Let's see if we can take a peek at...
Well, somebody came up, really put a lick on Callaway. Let's see if we can figure it out here.
Well, it's Anthone Lott is celebrating as he runs off the field. It's this hit right here coming straight at him.
Right on the football.
It is Anthone Lott. Anthone Lott with a great shoulder hit. Not only was the collision great, but he hit the football with his shoulder pad. And now he's describing to the guys along the sideline how he did it. A huge turn of events in Florida's favor here early in Athens.
Big play by Anthone Lott. Touchdown, Florida. Hilliard from Wuerffel. Boy, you do not want to give the Gators opportunities like the Bulldogs just gave them. They strike quickly.
Georgia has elected not to blitz, not to put the excessive rush on Wuerffel. They've elected to drop back in coverage. And Wuerffel just had, look at Odom, just a wall on the left side. Wuerffel has so much time. He actually had a couple of guys, and on the post route, high over his head, Ike Hilliard makes the big touchdown grab. Excellent hands by Hilliard on the catch.
Edmiston. And the extra point for the 36th time this year is good. He's perfect in 1995. And there's Anthone Lott, the junior from Jacksonville, who jarred the ball loose out of the sophomore scat back and set up the Florida Gator touchdown. It's 7-0 early from Athens. Take another look at the Florida touchdown. First play after the fumble, Wuerffel goes for the big strike in the end zone.
Once again, Danny Wuerffel with plenty of protection. Tremaine Allen blocking on the right side there, and Ike Hilliard, the outstanding young wide receiver out of the state of Louisiana, comes through again for the Fun and Gun offense.
Gators kicking off. And it is McCraney, or rather Kirby, smart with the football, and the Gators are all over him. Inside the 15, at the 14-yard line.
Well, David, obviously you go on the road, you want to take the home crowd out of the game, and that turnover and quick lightning strike by the Gators has helped quiet this crowd, but not for long if Georgia can get something going. You see that we're talking about lightning strike. How about one play for the touchdown after the big hit, the big turnover created by Anthone Lott?
On the second play from scrimmage for Georgia, so this is their third play from scrimmage from their own 15. Robert Arnaud, the ball carrier, and we expected him to be the starting tailback. He carried last week against Kentucky for 120 yards, and Ray Goff switched it up with Callaway back there. You look at Florida's defense, a group that has really come on as the season has progressed, and the senior Ben Hanks a big part of that, having a great year. The secondary also showing great improvement as the season has come along, and Anthone Lott just made the big play to set up the touchdown. Hines Ward has played receiver, scat back, and now quarterback for Georgia in this season. Arnaud with good room on the right side, and Dexter Daniels, the senior from Valdosta, Georgia, runs him down. Let's check down on the sideline with our sideline reporter, Steve Babbitt. Steve?
You know, back in 1932, the last time Florida and Georgia played here in Athens, Georgia won by a score of 33-12. In that game, Georgia rushed for 448 yards. They had 2 guys over 100 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. You know what? I think they went back 63 years ago for that playbook because Georgia wants to run that again. You know, Ray Goff wants ball control today.
Well, Steve, I don't think you were there in 1932. Jim, what was the weather like?
Hey, give me a break now.
Arnott stood up behind the line of scrimmage. The Gators shut him down on 3rd and short.
Oh, man, a huge play by the Gator defense on 3rd down, as you see that Georgian Dexter Daniels celebrating on the right side. Johnny Church gets upfield. Lawrence Wright with great leverage right there at the point of attack, and Dexter Daniels with the hit. One of the things you have to do is protect your inside linebacker. Dexter Daniels is untouched and is able to make that big hit at or near the line of scrimmage and well short of the 1st down.
Dax Langley fumbles the snap. He's in big trouble back there, and the Gators are sitting on the doorstep again. Florida's Jaquez Green, who has become so effective in this punt block formation, was given plenty of help by the fumble on the snap by Dax Langley.
Yeah, the ball is just simply bobbled, and Quez Green is so quick, David, that if you make a small bobble, he's liable to be in your face. That ball was completely mishandled, and Georgia and the Georgia fans are just stunned at the 2 quick turnovers that are allowing the Gators to jump quickly to a big lead.
Jerome Evans and Fred Taylor, the running backs. Here is Taylor, and Taylor is dragged down by Daniels, the outside defender, the defensive end on the left side of that Georgia line, the senior from Donaldsonville, Georgia, who has been a big playmaker all year long for the Bulldogs.
Now, Philip Daniels, one of the defenders that Georgia elected to highlight prior to the start of the '95 season as a guy to watch. There you see some discussion along the sideline about what happened on the snap. What did we do?
Matt Rabin, the sophomore, on the snap, it was a little wide, but I really felt like Langley could have fielded it, Jim.
Oh, I thought it was a good snap.
Georgia defense standing up Taylor inside the 5 again. This would be a moral victory for the Bulldogs to hold Florida to a field goal right here.
Well, most neutral observers would think that Georgia is outmanned, and they're right coming into today's battle, but hey, what you don't do is underrate the pride of these kids, and they're defending their home turf right here, and they're going to play with great abandon today, and the defense has done so on the last 2 plays.
Crowd coming to its feet. Spurrier wants to throw for the touchdown, and does, to Chris Doering.
Mr. Touchdown, Chris Doering. My goodness, Chris Doering currently 3rd on the all-time list in the Southeastern Conference, and 3rd in the Gator history books as well.
That gives him 23 in his career.
I saw that Bryce Hunter, currently the wide receiver for Georgia, leads them in career touchdown catches with about 17, I think. And Doering has how many, David?
23 after that one.
Wow. And a lot of 1995 football yet to be played.
Well, Jim, the Gators have scored touchdowns 30 times out of 39 times in the red zone, inside the 20. That is very efficient offensively. Timeout, Florida. Steve Spurrier trying to figure out why. And Matt Teague is talking with Steve Spurrier as you look at Chris Doering.
Uh-oh, it could be a Tanya Harding as shoestring came untied. And I think that's really what happened. And Spurrier says, hey, get out there and kick the ball. Don't be calling timeouts on me.
There's the information on the drive. The Gators have not had to work too hard for their touchdowns so far in this first quarter.
1 play, 1 touchdown. 3 plays, another touchdown. My goodness, what an unbelievable start for the Florida Gators, who come between the hedges for the first time since 1932. And there's young Quez Green, who was so outstanding with his quickness on the punt rush. And he's a homeboy, as they say. He's from the state of Georgia, and you know, he's excited about what's happening so far.
Joe Kynes' defense has not even been tested today, and he's down 14-0.
Yeah, he and Ray Goff shaking their heads from side to side, as well they should. Just a real difficult start for the Dogs here. You know, talking about Joe Kynes, he was a long-term coach at Clemson, at the University of Florida, and at the University of Georgia, and all those 3 teams are huge rivals with each other.
All right, Steve Babbitt's going to verify the shoestring controversy. Steve, what's going on with Matt Teague and the shoestring?
Well, guys, you're going to have to bring it up a little bit. What happened was there's a rule, equipment rule. You've got to have your knee pads over your knees. Sometimes the guys will let those pants and the knee pads right up above their knee. That is an equipment violation. Basically, what happened is the official told Matt Teague, you're in violation because the knee pad was not down, and he called timeout. So it was basically an equipment violation.
A dress code violation, huh?
Referee Bill Goss from Atlanta, Georgia, with the equipment infraction against Matt Teague. Edmiston now will try the extra point. It is good. And some red-faced Georgia fans, maybe some of that red-faced not of the artificial variety. You don't go spotting Florida 14-0 early in the first period. That's what Georgia's done. Well, there's one dog that doesn't know, probably doesn't care that his team is down 14-0. There's a lot of other dogs in this stadium who are not very happy right now, and here's the reason. The Gators are up 14-0, and on third down and goal from the 3, Spurrier can't run it in, so he throws it, Warfel to Doring. McCraney goes down on a knee.
That was a blown coverage, too, in the secondary. Chris Doring was not covered at all. There was a mental error made in the end zone, and Georgia quickly gave up another touchdown.
Logic told them they were in trouble today, but sometimes you think more with your heart than with your head. Georgia fans hoping for a miracle. Of course, we're only, 8 minutes into this football game, but it has been such a stunning beginning that the Bulldogs have just handed Florida 2 touchdowns that it is almost hard to believe. Quarterback Hines Ward has Williams and Arnott behind him. Arnott, the tailback. No room on the corner. Look at that Gator defense swarm to the football. Looked like Big Lawrence Wright came up from the strong safety spot to get there first.
You know, the Georgia Bulldogs traditionally an outstanding rushing football team, but the Gators right now, David, have more yards rushing per game than the Dogs do, and you see the Dogs having little success early running against a somewhat maligned Gator defense, who a lot of folks still don't think can match the Gator offense in terms of national recognition, in terms of being a perhaps a champion quality defense. But I think they're going to answer that challenge.
Oh, a dangerous pass on the corner. McCraney and Weary wrestling for the football. And McCraney came away with it, but that was a dangerous pass thrown by Hines Ward, who has shown his versatility this year. Tremendous athlete coming out of Rex, Georgia, a couple of years ago. He's played receiver and the scat back position. You see what he's done there, and now the starting quarterback for Georgia because of the injuries to Mike Bobo and Brian Smith.
Yeah, Mike Bobo was having an excellent year before he blew his knee out, and then Brian Smith had a shoulder separation, and Hines Ward has got a lot on his shoulders out there this afternoon.
Out of the shotgun, Ward throwing over the middle, and the pass is incomplete. Juan Daniels, the intended receiver, he wanted a flag thrown against Dexter Daniels, or Johnny Rutledge, I should say, 58. But their feet got tangled up, and there's no flag.
Yeah, it was 58. Johnny Rutledge, Daniels 48. Rutledge is the guy that got his feet tangled up with Juan out there. Juan Daniels, the other wide receiver. Bryce Hunter being the all-time leading receiver for the University of Georgia and the most favored receiver in that wide receiver core for the Dogs.
This time Langley fields the snap and hits it high into the wind. Riddell Anthony fair catches the football at the 41-yard line. 35-yard punt by Langley. Florida's offense has had the ball 3 times on their first possession, which started back in their end of the field. They picked up 1 first down and then had to punt the ball, and then Georgia gave Florida 2 great scoring opportunities on turnovers. A pair of fumbles. Fred Taylor running up the middle. About 5 on the play to the 46-yard line.
David,
and the tackle was made by Philip Benton, a senior from Covington, Georgia.
David, you know the Dogs are 5-3, and I saw their game against Alabama where they lost 31-0 here, and they literally gave Alabama that game, in much in the similar fashion that they've given Florida 2 touchdowns, and you just can't do that against the top-tier group of teams in your conference and expect to be competitive. Georgia having all kind of problems physically and with mistakes during the '95 season.
All alone is Riedel Anthony. Anthony out of bounds at the 35-yard line of the Dogs. Florida's offense, high-powered, high-octane all season long. You see the rankings right down the line, first, second, or third in the Southeastern Conference, even in rushing. Spurrier's known as a passing quarterback, but that rushing game ranks number 3 in the league at 182 yards per game.
Chris Doering now in at tight end. Actually 4 wide receivers on the field with Doering at the tight end position.
And they run the ball to Taylor. Taylor breaks numerous tackles. A tough 5-yard run by the sophomore from Belglade. Greg Bright, the sophomore from Moultrie, Georgia, makes the stop for Georgia.
Yeah, Fred Taylor gets little help right here as the Dogs again concerned with stopping the passing game, and that's when that draw is so effective for the Florida Gators, but not a whole lot of gaps in the interior right there. Fred Taylor just bullying people over to pick up the 5 yards.
A lot of Florida football fans at Sanford Stadium today. Taylor fumbled the ball, and let's see, it bounced out of bounds. It'll be Gator ball at the 25, and that'll be close to a first down. Taylor fumbled that ball and was fortunate not to turn it over.
Tremaine Allen on a nice block on that side. You see the ball getting stripped away by number 28. That was Brandon Tolbert, strong side linebacker. Tolbert strips the ball away, but it doesn't hurt the Gators as the ball bounces out of bounds.
That went out of bounds at the 27, so the end result is a 3rd and 2 coming up now. Bulldog fans trying to encourage the Bulldog defense. Fred Taylor running hard. Got hit by Watts in the backfield, but he came very close to the first down. I don't believe he's got it yet.
And Spurrier not hesitating with inches to go to send out another tight end. Now they have 3 tight ends on the field. They had a tight end at wing back and a tight end on the right side, but they elected to go off the weak side, weak in terms of the count numbers, but certainly a power side behind Jason Odom over there. But outstanding defense by Frank Watts, number 58, and Georgia shut it down. Here we go, 4th down.
And Danny Werfel wants timeout. Spurrier ripped his visor off when the quarterback called timeout, because the Gators have now used 2 of their 3 first-half timeouts in the first quarter.
Well, he's telling Danny, I don't want you doing that. I like the play I had called. Danny, for whatever reason, felt like they might need to discuss it a little bit more, but Coach Spurrier didn't think that way.
Well, for all the latest scores, highlights, and interviews, be sure to join host Mick Hubert on Gator Hotline and Florida Football with Coach Steve Spurrier. When you want to know what's going on with Gator football this season, don't miss Gator Hotline every Thursday night live at 7 p.m. Eastern, and Florida Football highlights every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on Sports Channel. Check your local listings for Sports Channel coverage in your area.
Looks like on the last play we had Taurus Ross was the 3rd tight end to come out to join the formation, and the 3 guys weren't sure which tight end was supposed to play which tight end position, I'm sure, and that was the confusion that Werfel felt required the timeout. Now it's Spurrier saying, Taurus, just stay right here and we're going to do something else.
Great football tradition at the University of Georgia. They've had some of the greatest football teams in the Southeastern Conference. Those championships in 80, 81, 82, you can peg those on the name of Herschel Walker. But they've also had some great teams prior to that. 95, they've won their last 3.
injury bug began to really strike in week 2. They looked good against South Carolina. Played an outstanding game against Tennessee and lost Robert Edwards, the tailback, who, by the way, is still their leading rusher.
And they've
Here we are 9 weeks into the season, and no one's carried the ball for more yards than Robert Edwards, who only played a game and a half.
And they decided to redshirt him rather than bring him back late in the season. You see Wuerffel off to a quick start this afternoon, 5 of 6 in the air.
All right, it's Mobley, the fullback. And it's Wuerffel keeping the football. And the ball is loose. I think the play has been blown dead by the official. Greg Bright, the linebacker, came out of there with the ball. But the spot was made inside the 25, and that should be enough for a Florida first down.
Well, Wuerffel hesitates there, I think by design, before he picks the gap on the left side to dive across. Georgia did a nice job penetrating right there. It looked like they had a chance to shut the play down, but I think Wuerffel easily got across the mark, and he did, to pick up the first down by the length of a football. Watch Danny step back now. He's going to step back and hesitate, and then come across to his left. It's that bit of a hesitation that was designed in advance to get a double team at the point of attack by the center and the left guard, let them do their work, and then he found the inches that he needed to get the first down.
Danny Wuerffel, when Bright tried to rip the ball and did rip the ball out of his hands, appeared to injure his right hand. Not badly enough to throw another touchdown to Chris Doering, though. He is looking at the hand, but he threw a strike into the end zone to number 28, and the Gators lead 20-0.
Chris Doering, with 24 career touchdown receptions, now ties Willie Jackson for number 2 on the all-time University of Florida list. Greg Bright, the inside linebacker, finds himself matched up with Doering, and Doering just blows right by him, looking back to Wuerffel for the perfectly thrown touchdown pass, and the Gators are padding their lead early against Georgia. The 3rd touchdown of the first quarter right here, the bomb to Doering.
Bart Edmiston bangs home another extra point, and the son of a University of Florida professor, Chris Doering, has caught 2 more touchdown passes today. That gives him 24 for his career.
Well, this was a much longer drive. Yeah.
Long drive. Took him
7
forever.
plays as versus 3 and 1 on the prior 2 touchdown drives. Doering saying, hey, guys, there was nothing to it. Hey, I wonder maybe if Wuerffel might have a problem with that hand, we might see Eric Kresser for the first time really to any extent in the 95 season. Of course, we have no idea right now, but Wuerffel did seem to be favoring his hand out there.
I saw another player earlier this week have the ball ripped out of his hands and suffer a rather serious hand injury, and his name is Shaquille O'Neal.
And he's out with some surgery, David, for a couple of months.
For a couple of months. It didn't look like Wuerffel was injured anywhere near that extent. But speaking of Chris Doering, with 2 touchdown receptions today, that gives him 24 for his career, Jim, and he has tied Willie Jackson for 2nd place on the Florida touchdown reception list. That is a graphic, if that makes sense.
It does.
That tells it all.
It does.
It's 21-0. Florida kicking off again. And Matt Teague knocked this one out of bounds. There's the quarterback, the sophomore from Rex, Georgia, who's had a tough start, but his overall athleticism has impressed the Florida Gators, including Johnny Church of the Gators.
This is a guy who's played running back, wide receiver, whatever, and he has the ability to get out of the pocket and run, and he's not going to stand there as long as a regular quarterback would. And he kind of reminds you of, or he kind of reminds me of Charlie Ward, Florida State, and I know we had a lot of problems trying to keep him contained and trying to keep him from running the ball.
Hines Ward, no relation to Charlie, but similar athletically. Hines scrambling out of the pocket.
And he is run down by Daniels. 3 minutes to go in the first period. And Florida leads Georgia 21-0.
3-yard gain, 2nd and 10.
There's the rushing numbers on Hines Ward. That's mostly from the scat back position, their tailback position. Ward got 3 yards on first down. Dave Williams and Torrin Kurtzy are the running backs. Good protection, and Daniels with the catch. Ron Daniels across the midfield stripe. The Bulldogs are in Florida territory for the first time today.
Again, you have to realize Hines Ward only with 14 attempts in the 95 season and the 1 start against Alabama that he got, so he's not had a lot of reps out there, but he does a beautiful job right there before Tico Brown, a new starter for the Gators in the secondary, makes a hit. Tico, a surprise starter for Florida this afternoon.
Redshirt freshman has practiced so well in the last couple of weeks that he won the starting job from Mike Harris. That's Torrin Kurtzy getting some good blocking along the right side of the line, and Kurtzy is brought down at the 37-yard line.
Well, that's the famed tailback sweep that Georgia historically has run so well. Kurtzy, again, one of those guys that went down with an injury earlier in the season and now coming back. Georgia easily controlling the corner right there with that offensive effort.
There's Tico Brown, a redshirt freshman from Miami. Mike Harris made 17 tackles against Auburn. Tico Brown has practiced so well. Brown is the starting safety. Here's an all-out blitz, and the Gators are all over that one. Extra Daniels on the bottom of the stack again. They were coming strong. Florida had about 7 or 8 on the run.
Led by Ben Hanks, the outstanding outside linebacker. Dexter Daniels is going to come from the inside. Hanks is coming, and I think they also brought a defensive back.
Haven Walton,
and
both linebackers on the blitz.
You see Lawrence Wright hugging the line of scrimmage as well right there. So Coach Bob Pruitt in the middle there with the headset on. He's the guy that said, hey, let's go after him.
Now the Dogs are looking at 3rd down. About 7.
Oh,
pass dropped by Matt Dixon.
Oh, Dixon had the first down. Nothing going the Dogs' way. Dixon easily on